Section 2.1, working with units of measure. In the United States, we have different units of measure like length. For length, we have inch, foot, yard, and mile. We also have units of weight, ounce, pounds, ton, capacity. We have the cup, the pint, the quart, the gallon. And these are what we use in the United States of America. We have customary measurements like 12 inches is 1 foot, 3 feet, 1 yard, 5,280 feet is 1 mile, 1,760 yards is 1 mile. If you cook, 16 ounces is a pound. 2,000 pounds is a ton, 8 ounces is a cup, 2 cups is a pint, 2 pints is 1 quart, 4 quarts is 1 gallon. Okay, these are measurements that we use in the United States. Now, these measurements are not used in other parts of the world. Other parts of the world, they use different measurements. But as I said before, in the United States, this is what we use. Now, we're going to be converting from one unit to the other. And in order to convert from one unit to the other, we talk about unit analysis. Okay? If you have an equation, or if you have a unit of measure, let's say 60 minutes equals 1 hour. Then we can make this a unit measure by getting the quantity 1 on either side. So if we divide both sides by 1 hour, 60 minutes over 1 hour equals 1. Or we can go the other way. 1 hour over 60 minutes equals 1. These are called unit conversions because they equal 1. And we can put this into any quantity because we know 1 times anything is that anything. Okay? So to go from one unit to the other, we can use unit conversions in this manner. For example, in the next few problems, they want us to use unit analysis to make the necessary conversions. So we start with 3.5 hours. And they want us to, I'm going to use the notation that they're using in the text. If you were taught a different notation, the notation really does not matter as long as you are multiplying 3.5 hours. And it's good to use, or you have to use really, the units here. Now, we need what's called a unit or a unit multiplier. We know that 60 seconds equals 1 minute. And we know that 60 minutes equals 1 hour. So our goal here is to go from hours to seconds. Now, we're going to have to go from hours to minutes to seconds. So when I see 3.5 hours, I need to look at this that equation there, and I need to make it so that I am canceling out hours. So what I'm going to have to do is to make sure that the hour portion is in the denominator. Remember, this is 1. So this becomes 60 minutes over 1 hour. And notice the hours unit will cancel. Times Now we go from minutes to seconds. I'm sorry. So we know 60 seconds is 1 minute. So we're going to put 60 seconds in the numerator, 1 minute in the denominator. So our minutes cancel out. And what we do is we multiply. 3.5 times 60 times 60 is 12,600 seconds. And you also multiply your denominators. 1 times 1 is 1. And being that it is 1, we don't have to write 1. But it's not going to be the case that every time you'll have 1s in your denominator. Just like in the next example. We want to change 120 ounces to pounds. Okay? 120 ounces to pounds. Well, we know that 16 ounces equals 1 pound. So I have 120 ounces times. Now I need to cancel out my ounces, so I need to call this 1 pound over 16 ounces so that I can cancel out my ounces. And what I have here is 120 over 16 pounds, which is 7.5 pounds. Okay? So again, here we didn't just have 1 in that denominator. Let's look at the next problem. We need to change 35 miles per, and what per means what? Per means we're going to have a fraction. Per is that fraction bar. Miles per hour. 2 feet per second. Okay? We're changing miles per hour to feet per second. So here we're going to be doing, we need 2 unit multipliers. First of all, we need to remember that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. Okay? And another thing we need to know is that, in which we alluded to it up here, we went from 60 minutes is 1 hour, 60 seconds is 1 minute. So in order to go from hours to minutes, we did this unit multiply, but what we really did was multiply 60 by 60. So 60 times 60 is 3,600. So there are 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. Now, you could go through and do the 2-part thing, going from hours to minutes and then minutes to seconds, or you could use this here, okay? Because we've already done that up here in example number 2, and it ended up being 60 times 60, which is 3,600. So let's go ahead. We're going from miles per hour, and we want feet per second. So we want feet in the numerator. So miles needs to go in the denominator. So I can do 5,280 feet over 1 mile. And my miles cancel out there. Then I can do remember that we want the seconds in the denominator, so there's 3,600 seconds. There's 3,600 seconds there. All over 1 hour. So our hours cancel. So what do we have? 35 times 5,280 divided by 3,600 gives me 51.33 feet per second. And we need to make sure that we're using what the book uses as an abbreviation. Here I put SEC for second, but it's really S for second. Okay? So if we go back to the first table that we looked at, this tells us how they want the abbreviations. Now, in my math lab, more than likely, it's just going to matter. Inches, IN, feet, FT, yard, YD, mile, MI, ounces, OZ, pound, LB, ton, capital T. Okay? So let's make sure that we follow that accordingly. The next exercise is a word problem, and you will see word problems throughout this class. Let's read what it says. It says the cost of a gallon of gas is $3.35 per gallon. If you travel 40 miles a day back and forth to work, and your gas mileage is 25 miles per gallon, determine how much you will spend on gas each week. Okay, so we start off that gas is $3.35. Remember, per 1 gallon of gas. Per means we're going to draw our division symbol. Okay, so and it also tells us that your gas mileage is 25 miles per gallon. So your car, this is how much gas costs, but your car gets 25 miles per gallon. When we know we want to cancel out gallon. So per 1 gallon of gas, your car gets 25 miles. Okay. Now, just what we have here will tell us how, far we could go, or how much. This will tell us how much the gas will cost per mile. But we need to go a step further, because it says if she travels 40 miles a day. So we got 40 miles per 1 day. How much will she spend in a week? Now, one thing that we need to assume in this problem, which they don't tell you, is that a work week is 5 days. And we know that's not true for everybody. Some people work 4 days a week. Some people work 7 days a week. But they assume that you know that a work week is 5 days. So we have to do what? We want to know how much you will spend on gas per week, each week. So we need to get rid of this. Well, this miles, we need to cancel that out. We need to cancel our gallons out. But we need to change this from a day to a week. And here they assume that 5 days equals 1 week. So what we have is $3.35 times 1 times 40 times 5, all divided by 25, gives us $26.80 per week. That's how much she spends on gas. If a gallon of gas is $3.35 per gallon, and if she travels 40 miles per day to work, back and forth. Now that's pretty cheap. We know that in our economy right now, you can't do that, but that's very cheap. Okay, so here we talked about working with units of measure, and we talked about unit multipliers, how to make a unit measure.